Welcome. Welcome everyone to Satsang. That dance we have with the truth of our own being. I've gotten more than one request to talk about a term I use a great deal, sometimes more than others, but sometimes I use it all the time, but it's always there in the conversation, and that is the term original innocence. And somebody asked me to speak about it some more, so I thought I would. I thought I'd take the opportunity here at Satsang to do just that. And so I called this Paradise Lost and Gained, Original Innocence and Original Sin. And my spiritual journey started in the midst of an extremely dark time, and a divine intervention took place that showed me beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was in every single individual, including me, an absolute original innocence that had never, ever been touched by any of the other stuff. And that the idea of original sin was simply a lie. It applied to conditioning, not to us. And it lost its hold on me. Now, I didn't understand conditioning at the time. I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't understand how to deal with any of it. I did not understand how, on one hand, I could see this just absolute pure vision of the beatific vision of God, and on the other hand, just one disaster after another going on in my life. And it took me a long time to resolve those. But I just wanted to talk today about that original innocence, the thing that we all yearn for, that sense of being lovable, the sense of being okay, the sense of being safe, the sense of being valued, the sense of being something that's worthwhile, that has a purpose, that there's a reason you're here. Whereas original sin posits exactly the opposite. It asserts that there is no value in you, and that at any moment, this super being, this rather aggressive and ugly super being, could just throw you out, which means you're expendable. You have no value whatsoever. You have no use. You just throw you off somewhere because it doesn't need you. It has been one of the cruelest and most destructive ideas to ever take root in the human mind. And it's not true. It is simply not true. But it is so deeply ingrained. And it even has roots prior to the emergence of this idea of original sin, which evolved over like 500 years. I mean, that's not what Christ taught. Exactly the opposite. It was the redemption and forgiveness and original innocence is in fact what he taught. But it got twisted over the next several hundred years into this really a tool of tyranny, this antagonism towards our own nature. And the end result is just a schism, an alienation from your own nature, a denial of nature itself, especially for women who are just, the female body is simply just more connected to nature than the male body is. It is the source and nourisher of life. And so to control that is the ultimate game. To control, to make us ashamed of what we can't help but be, is the ultimate control somebody can have. If I can make you ashamed of that, and then I can hold out some kind of little pittance or some kind of little shiny object that will give you even a momentary sense of relief, you're my slave. Which is exactly what the initial intent was, and still is. Although there's nothing conscious about it, nobody really realizes it. The ones who are who are asserting it the most are themselves lost in it. They themselves are oppressed by it. It's a strange thing how ideas take root and then take on a life of their own, not get scrutinized. But enough of that. What's the truth? Well, the truth is original innocence. That you were never corrupted. You never fell. You were never meant to stay in Eden. It wasn't an act of disobedience. It was an act of curiosity. The most natural thing to us, the thing that God delights in the most, the discovery of what truth is. What could God want more than for us to discover for ourselves what the truth actually is? What would give God more satisfaction? What would give God more pleasure than to see that happen, than to see that awakening take place? And yet, our culture, the oppressive element in the human ego, wants to use it to control, not to liberate. Now, of course, this curiosity that we have, totally innocent, remaining always innocent, but it is going to be experiencing the consequences of its inquiry. If I eat of that fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, I'm going to experience the duplicity of it, the conflict of it, the confusion, the bewilderment at it. I'm going to experience a world in which the forces of good and evil seem forever at odds, and this constant battle going on. I'm going to experience that. And of course, that's the point. If I'm really going to understand something, I have to experience it in its full range, the full consequences of it. How else can I transcend it? How else can I consciously come to the conclusion that evil is the absence of good, not an entity in and of itself, but simply goodness that is too small, too focused on me, on this little sense of self. Now, all of us have had our capacity to acknowledge our own original innocence crippled almost completely. No one here can just say, I really love myself, and feel it 100%. Get 100% yes out of your body in that way. I am totally innocent. None of this is my fault. You can't do it. I couldn't do it, right? It took a divine intervention to just show it to me so powerfully that I couldn't deny it. It was crystal clear, and it brought me to my knees. Now, notice I wasn't redeemed. I wasn't bad and made good. I was shown that I was never bad in the first place. It was pure grace. It was not corrective. It was not even educational. It was a simple revelation. It had never, ever been true. None of it was me. All of it was this imposition from the outside, conditioning, programming, assumptions, beliefs, all sorts of things laid on when I did not know any better. I just took it in. I just accepted it. And in so doing, the power of the mind, the power of consciousness, focusing itself, surrounding itself, embodying a particular belief that's not true, will still live it out as if it were true. All the decisions made, the people we're with, the relationships, the work, our interests, our hobbies, everything will be colored by that. But instinctively, deep down, we know it's not true. And yet, this, and because we know it's not true, there's an element of us that's constantly striving to transcend it, to compensate for it. Something inside knows there's got to be a way out of this hell. There's got to be a way back to the garden. And of course there is. But here's the catch. You're the only one that can do it. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can. The best a teacher can do is point you in the direction and tell you to look, and keep looking until you see it for yourself, because the only conviction about your original purity that's going to have any effect on you is the conviction that comes from you. And this is where we enter into the practice, into the struggle between everything we've been taught, the habits of our minds, our emotions, our sensations, memories, associations, all of these things, grinding along, all based on that same assumption, just grinding along. And this tiny little flicker of an insight that says it's not true. And this is what we all struggle with. So the thought comes up, the feeling comes up, and we're so used to going along with that feeling that we don't question it. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't hear that. Right? That something has come up. Yes, but it just feels like, so what? Your mind is not telling you the truth. In this instance, your feelings aren't telling you the truth. They are all revolving around an assumption that is not true. And that is original sin. You know, when the Bible talks about being born in sin, it is not talking about you. It is talking about the ego. The ego was born with sin. It sins at every step. Born in sin, that is, the word sin, I mean, it's an Old Testament word that means simply to miss the mark. It isn't this horrible moral deformity. It's like, oops, it's a mistake. It's a misinterpretation. It's an illusion. It is mistaking the shadow for the substance, the falsity for the true. And because of the power of our minds, if I mistake the false for the true, I will experience it and believe that it's true. And that's the sin. Now, that doesn't change your nature. It doesn't change the fact that you are never that. All it does is blind you to it. It keeps you from experiencing it, because identifying with that line of thinking creates the egoic mind, and it is born in sin. That is born in nothingness. It's a mistake. It's 2 + 2 = 3. Now, when you know that 2 + 2 = 4, where does 2 + 2 = 3 go? Is it going off somewhere, hiding, trying to capture somebody else? It just vanishes into nothingness. That's what all of this is. But pretty much everyone here can testify that the power of that, the threats that came with it, the incredible amount of fear that was heaped on us if we even questioned it, right, has been so ingrained in the nervous system that it's terrified to actually take a look at the true nature of God and the true nature of our being. It feels like it's blasphemous to say such a thing. How could I possibly be that? Well, that, my friends, is the nature of grace. You are. Grace is simply the truth. It's what is. It's what always has been. And it is a realization of that. If you look at the meaning of Christ, and one of the things that he said, no one come unto the Father but by me, he's referring to that. You can't come unto the truth until you recognize the truth, as myself, but by me. There is the pure truth, which is always the truth. But the realization of the truth, well, that's different. The truth is the truth, whether you realize it or not. But to experience it, it must be realized. And that's the redemption. That's the salvation. That's the meaning of the mind of Christ. This is Buddha nature. This is a revelation of what has always been. And that is pure. It is innocent. It is perfect. It is pristine. It is beautiful beyond imagination. It has no limits, no boundaries, no beginning, no end. It is timeless, deathless, birthless. And it's you. That is the real you. And it is simply a matter of cultivating conviction about it. That's what faith is. Faith is our capacity to see what is invisible to the senses. That's what it is. It isn't believing in something, right? Exactly the opposite. It's understanding something that cannot be verified evidentially, because the evidence may still be testifying to the false belief. So you can't rely on that. So instead you rely on the cultivated conviction in your own heart. That's what faith actually is. And it is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is the invisible which creates the visible. It itself is the evidence. You don't need any external evidence. That inner conviction is the evidence, and that is the very presence of God. God being not a person who condemns or criticizes, not a Bronze Age warrior. It is love itself. It is the truth of your own nature. The truth realized is the Christ, the Savior. Of course it is. Of course it is. If the truth of me is that I am, in fact, originally innocent, pure, and pristine, then my salvation is the realization of that. Because it's true whether I believe it or not. And so the Savior is, I realize it, I recognize it. This is grace, this is faith, this is the descent of the Holy Spirit. This is the whole point. This is the real meaning of forgiveness, the original innocence, found not guilty, vindicated, cleared of all wrongdoing. Oh dear, oh boy, I did go on about this, didn't I? Almost feel like a preacher. Can I get an amen? Oh, I've just had so many people whose hearts have been broken and are still struggling with just the horrific damage that has been done by this terrible, this blasphemous, this heretical distortion of the teachings of Christ, right? And so hopefully there's something there for everyone. So once again, thank you all for joining me. Welcome to Satsang, and a special thank you. I have to be able to say that that the Satsang is now actually being brought to you by my patrons on Patreon and my donors on Buy Me a Coffee, and it has made a difference. It's actually starting to cover some of the expenses. There's actually enough money coming in now to cover the cost of the technology for Om School. So I just wanted to thank everybody who has generously donated or subscribed as a regular monthly thing. It is deeply appreciated, and we'll make this much easier. Makes this much easier for me. By the way, next week I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to go visit my son down in Phoenix for a bit before Christmas. Come back for my other son and sister for Christmas. So there won't be a satsang next week. There will be the week after, but the week after that is actually Christmas Day, so there won't be then. So So there'll be one today, which is the 11th, then the 18th, and then the next one will actually be New Year's Day. So if you're not hungover, come hang out with me. and we'll continue on here. So, all righty then. I'm just going to say hello to everyone. Take a sip of my tea, which is still hot enough. Yeah. And I noticed. Hello, Roberto. Okay, how long has the sound been gone? Test, 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 test. That's why Mary was calling. Black user. Red Rose. Did anybody hear my comments to Red Rose? No. Yes? No? 10 minutes. Oh, good Lord. No sound, no view, words are futile. Okay, let's see. New comments. Okay. No. We did not hear from 23 minutes on. I feel like what you said, what I needed. All right, KGB, we can hear you now. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Okay, let's see. 20. Did anyone hear anything I had to say to Red Rose for you, to Sonia? Teacher's back, act serious. I disconnected when I said hello to you. It just kind of died on me. Okay, make sure I'm talking on the right phone too. Or on the right, yes, I am. Okay. So Mary said no. No to what? No. Can somebody please, I've got 100 comments here. Please tell me. Not no, because I don't know what you're talking about. Did you know? You're not too old. We need you. I'm too old for this technology. I'm so over it. No, you said hi to Roberto and died. Okay, but I said, I mean the very first time I said hi to Roberto? Okay. Yes. Okay. So you didn't hear, all right. I think right after you did your intro. Well, at least the intro got there. All right. Sonia, let's go back to there. All right. Sonia. Because this is very important, and it picks up on the theme of the loving God. I know love comes from within and not from outside of us. Yet I remember reaching a beautiful place of being when I think I'm unconditionally loved by God or the universe. Then I think I must have it wrong. Is that my physical need to feel loved? I understand I'm God, but physically I want to feel it. It makes me feel good, like a pea embraced by the pea pod. Well, I want you to notice something. I remember reaching a beautiful place of being when I think I'm unconditionally loved by God or the universe. Then I think I must have it wrong. Would that be the unconditional love of God or the universe saying you've got it wrong? Of course not. That's the old habits of the mind that are now using, well, okay, you're supposed to be God, you're one with this, so this can't be the right thing. It's like, look, for me, at first, it was the love of God. Love, this unconditional. I had no idea what happened to me. I had no idea what that voice was that was talking to me, that showed me these things. It felt like something other than myself. And it was a while before that began to break down. And I began to see it differently. So you're feeling the unconditional love of God or the universe. That's the truth. You're feeling the truth. Now, there's still a sense there that there's a me and a God. This is the devotional path. To the bhakti path or devotional path. One is simply surrendering constantly to their beloved. But eventually that culminates in the Vedantic path, or the jnana path, which is the path of oneness, in which you disappear and all there is the unconditional love of God in the universe. And now it's not just me feeling that love, it's God feeling the love for herself. My feelings of love is God loving herself. And my feelings of love for everyone, that love is God. So where's the separation at that point? But no, this is felt in the heart. This isn't just a theoretic, it's not conceptual at this point. It's a genuine experience of that love. But yes, when we start to feel it, when it actually starts to touch us, that sense of a separate self is still there. It's okay. And yes, we do have the physical need to be loved, to be held, right? To make love, to have close companionships, to feel close, to depend on each other. The only difference is that those are transient. They come and go. Sometimes we need it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. Right? They come and go. But that love, that unconditional love, doesn't come and go. It's always there. So our experience of it our human experience in the various forms that love takes, that can vacillate, but the love itself doesn't. It's always there. And that sense of that always being there begins to merge with the fact that you're always there. I mean, how would you recognize that it's always there unless you were always there? Oh, I'm always here too. Maybe we're not two. Maybe that love is who I really am, not the personal I, not the sense of I as, as Sonia doing her thing and this and stuff, getting physically loved or not getting physically loved. That I is also transient. It comes and goes. That sense of self is coming and going all the time. I'm talking about that underlying contentment, stillness, that pure, perfect love. Is that going to answer it for you there, Sonia? I just jumped down to the bottom to see if the sound is still working. So, I'm going to leave it at that. So it's okay, right? Don't let the mind, because there is in our human life, there is the manifestation of love that fluctuates. It comes and goes. It's experiential, right? Just like, music is always there, but you hear a song, it starts, has a middle, and then it ends, right? Does that mean the music has gone away? Does that mean love is not there? So we will always have this experience of that which is coming and going. It's only when we try to make that permanent rather than see the substance of it, which is permanent, that we get lost. That we feel something is missing. And then the mind tells, oh, this is a problem. You shouldn't be doing that. It should be, because the mind wants to turn it into something it can know and make it permanent. And there's nothing the mind can know that's permanent. There's nothing permanent about experience. The permanence is in the experiencer. And that's you. You are unconditionally loved. And the one that is unconditionally loving you is God. And the one that is being unconditionally loved is also God. The one from whom the message comes is God. The message is God. The messenger is God. And the one to whom the message is being sent is also God. It is all love. Oh, Merck in snowy Sweden. I go down the list here again. Hello again, Aaron. I was just, maybe you could read lips. Good morning from sunny San Diego. Well, not sunny here, here in Seattle, but welcome. I think you're new. I don't remember seeing your name before. Roberto, my wife's mother is dying due to a brain tumor. Would there be anything I can do for my wife other than being with her? Yes. But I'm not going to say this is what you should do. I don't make prescriptions and say, okay, do this, take these, three Our Fathers and 10 Hail Marys. Start with simply being present with her. Always be willing to be present with her. Being willing to feel her sadness, to comfort her when she needs to be comforted, held when she needs to be held, let alone when she needs to be let alone. Just give her all the space that she needs. And at the same time, process your own sense of grief. Allow yourself to feel what she's feeling and let yourself transform that. And then some things may come to mind that you can do for her, some things that might give her some release, something she just really enjoys doing. Maybe you might think of some little ritual or something she could do to help honor her mother, to help her with the process of letting her go. Because we all have to do that. We all have to let go. And of course, her mother's having to let go of her. This is the impermanent nature of life. Love never ceases, but the manifestation is constantly coming and going. So be with her, but really be with her. Your whole heart is open and present. And then if there is something concrete, practical that you can do, if it comes to mind, you just do it. But you don't need to plan anything. Right? And avoid the feeling that somehow I should be able to do more. Should I do something? That's the mind trying to make something happen. You don't have to do anything. Your presence is enough. And out of that presence will come the best thing you might do. And you will do it. But there may not be anything that comes up, and it's just the presence. But it all stems from that presence. If there's anything that useful that does need to be done, it'll come out of that presence. This is a big one. I mean, being with people's grief. Allow them to grieve. Really give them full permission to grieve in whatever way they need to. I hope that helps, Roberto, and all my love to your wife and her mother. Hello, Carl. Hello, Lindsay. California. There's Tomas. Hello to you, sir. Dorte, Denmark. Lindsay, beloved master. Thank you for your infinite love and guidance. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. My pleasure. GP, can the soul be damaged, or is the soul the same as spirit? Yes. No, you can't be. Can you damage space? Wham, wham, wham. Am I hurting space? Yes. We think of the soul, really, for most people, we think of the soul as really kind of a ephemeralized person, right? It's me. It's kind of like a body you can stick your hand through, right? We often think of spirit that way too. But spirit is timeless. It's dimensionless. It's everywhere at the same time. There's only one soul. Soul is another name for God. So is spirit. It's the only real being, the only I. So it's the only cognizance, the only thing that is cognizing. So no, you can't damage it. It can't be touched. That's the beauty of the discovery of original innocence. It cannot be damaged. You cannot damage it any more than you can damage space. Doesn't matter what happens in space, or damage the sky. It doesn't matter. The sky remains, and whatever happens in it doesn't leave a trace on it, not even a tiny little mark. Tomas, are we creating our reality or are we witnessing reality? I often hear in spiritual circles that we create good by letting go of resistance to what is, liberating ourselves from fears and traumas, etc. But I feel like I'm just an independent observer of everything. Or are both options correct depending on the view level? Clarification would be perfect. Thank you. You're welcome, Tomas. Well, when I use the word reality, I'm talking about that which is real, that which is truth. Okay. Now you don't create truth, right? There wasn't a time when it wasn't true and now it is, right? That's the nature of truth, which is reality, which is being, right? You know, the word for truth in Sanskrit is sat, which means existence, reality, what is, being, truth. Those are all words for the same, for that which is. And it's not even eternal, it's timeless, right? It has no change, no fluctuation. It's a completely different kind of substance. It is self-luminous and self-existent. Nothing can touch it, right? So we don't create it. And the truth of you, the reality of your being, does not get created. You aren't created. So, but what we are experiencing, right, is a reduction of it. It is the fullness of reality perceived from a single point of perception. Now, within this point of perception, an entire universe exists, which is nothing but a particular perception of the infinite, indescribable realm of reality. So you are, in fact, the independent observer of all of it. Because while it is a point of perception, the ultimate perceiver is not bound by that perception. Any more than music is bound by one particular song. That's it. That's the only song you get. Music has no limits on it. Reality has no limitations. You cannot say reality is this or that, because the moment you do, it's not this and not that. Then it's not real. Reality is the sum total, the utter totality. Now, look at it like that, and that your experience of reality that you're having in this moment is only that. It is an experience of reality, perception of reality, and not the wholeness of it, which it has to be, because if we don't have a perception of it, we have no experience whatsoever. The totality of a reality cannot be experienced, which is why you cannot experience yourself, because you are that totality of the reality. So you can only experience yourself as experience. The ultimate of you cannot know. You cannot touch. You cannot conceive of. So when you think I'm an independent observer, notice how in your mind you make it into one out of many independent observers. There's only one observer. There's only one witness to all of it. There's only one consciousness that is pervasive. So now when we're talking about something like creating good by letting go of resistance, we've stepped down a level now, right? We're no longer in this realm of pure spirituality. We're down in the realm of interacting as a human being, dealing with our lives and that sort of stuff. We're in the perception now, because included in this pinpoint perception of the totality of reality, which gives rise to the entire universe. That pinpoint perception is what we know of as my human self. It's actually a point of perception, not a being, but a point of perception. But yet that takes on the characteristics as if there was somebody who was observing. But that's an illusion. That's not actually happening. So when you look at it from the point of view of letting go of resistance. The only thing we need to let go of is the notion that I am an independent, finite observer of this, rather than the one consciousness that witnesses everything. That's the only thing you have to let go of. And within that is the resistance, right? Because that's clinging. That's always going to cling to something because it is small. It's going to feel frightened. It's going to feel unsafe. It's going to feel confined. It's not going to feel free. Right? And so it doesn't create good, right? But within that context, right, just working with people as we begin to break down these illusions, begin to see ourselves as the ultimate observer and not just something within the perception, but the ultimate perceiver. Right? We find ourselves letting go of the resistance because we find the resistance doesn't have any substance to it. It's all a function of this belief that I am the finite observer rather than the infinite observer. It all comes from there. And this liberates us from our fears. This liberates us from our traumas, our wounds, our past, all of that. And it doesn't create good at that point. It reveals it, right? Because what's not good, right? What's not good is the sense that this perception is all there is, and I and everything else are limited. This is it, right? And it's not. And the realization of that is a realization of the infinite nature of good and that there are no limits. But as long as there's a sense of a personal self, there will be limits. The personal sense of self, the egoic mind, is the limit, which is why the whole manifestation law of attraction thing is flawed, because it's trying to make the personal mind unlimited. It's trying to empower it so it gets everything that it wants, but it is the limitation. It cannot be overcome. It cannot overcome limits because it's the very source of them. That is what needs to be seen. And when that is seen, the rest of it all starts to fall away. And all of the theories and the ideas and creating our own reality and that sort of just completely falls away because the one who believes in it or needs it or is afraid of it falls away. And you find that you are the infinite love, the infinite witness that is simply witnessing the universe through a particular point of perception. Does that help, Tomas? And I think I covered, because you can look at it at different levels, right? But notice that you that can look at it at different levels are obviously not stuck in any of those levels. You transcend all levels. You're looking at them from outside. And that gives you the freedom to enter in and out of them as need to be, but without ever getting stuck in them. You can sing any song without thinking it's the only song you can sing. Right? Put on any costume and not mistake that costume for yourself. Hopefully that helps you, Tomas. And hopefully everybody can still hear me. I keep checking now. I'm very self-conscious about it. The audio is still working. Nobody has. I'm going to hop down here really quick past the 1,000 of comments. Okay. All right. Very good. Nobody's saying, no sound, no sound. GP, where'd you go? Help, help, help. And Mary even called me. Okay. Let's see. Mary, I have heard the soul has age, possibly because of its many incarnations. The soul has no age. The soul is God. It is timeless. We can't even think of it as eternal or immortal. You get that? We can't even think of it as eternal or immortal. It's still thinking of it in terms of time. It has no time. It is the timeless. And so what they're referring to is the personal sense of self that seems to grow and to progress and seems to go through many different lifetimes. But notice that while there is a sense, right, of one lifetime after another, hasn't there been something that has experienced every single one of those lifetimes? I mean, your last life, you were doing things and you felt as convinced that this is who you were as you do now, right? And yet it's gone. It's totally gone. Maybe you've done a past life regression and a little fragment here or there popped up, right? But it's all gone, right? Another sense of identification, identifying with this body. Our mission here is to be saved, redeemed from identifying with anybody and body, and you find that the soul has no age. That this has just been kind of like a dream coming and going. There's appeared and disappeared, appeared and disappeared, appeared and disappeared. This is what is meant by the end of birth and death. Life may come and go, but you will no longer have a sense of being anybody who was born into or died out of any particular life. So the soul is ageless. It is timeless, and there's only one of them. So there's no such thing as a personal soul. Try to ponder this. Because our sense of identity is so wrapped up with it, and our religion is wrapped up, my soul, my immortal soul, and the body dies and my soul goes somewhere, right? Which is really just a kind of an ephemeralized version of our ego. The ego wants to believe that it lasts after this life, that all these characteristics of me and things I love and the like, and they're all going to be gone. You're gonna have a completely different body, maybe a different gender, a different race, maybe even a different species. All of the thoughts are going to be gone. Everything you experience, all your tastes, everything, gone. It will be completely new, except for you. The consciousness that has that experience. And so you see that a lifetime is a dream. And that's what it'll feel like. When you die, it will feel like, oh, that was a dream. It will all just fade away like your dream last night. So let's bear this in mind. This isn't all that important. Right? The only thing that's important about it is it's an opportunity to express more love, to express what you actually are, the eternality that you are, because love is eternal. So what else is the point of this? To love. To save all beings from suffering. GP. Plan in Sweden. Hello, Plan. GP, Jerry's. Hi, GP. I need your advice. I'm feeling so lost. I have no idea who I am. I feel like there's nothing inside of me apart from thoughts and sensations. I suspect I might be a narcissist. What do I do? Okay, if you think you might be, you're not. A narcissist, the number one characteristic of a narcissist is they cannot recognize their own narcissism. They cannot see anything outside of themselves. They cannot see it. So if the thought's even occurring to you, then you're not. Okay, so set that aside. Don't panic, right? We're okay. You're okay. It feels as if there's nothing inside of you apart from thoughts and sensations. Is that feeling trustworthy? Now, if it's trustworthy, it means it's got to be there all the time. Is it there all the time? It may be right now. Was it there 2 years ago? It may even fluctuate during the day. Is it there when you fall asleep at night? So these are feelings that are coming and going, right? Now, the feeling itself has no power or authority. It's got nothing to cling on to. Right? But if it resonates with something in me, and I say, oh my God, I don't see there's anything apart. All I know are these thoughts and these sensations. Well, now it's stuck to something. The thoughts and sensations aren't a problem, but the meaning we give them is what creates the distress. Now, there's nothing inside me apart from thoughts and sensations. Well, there is one other thing, whatever it is that's aware of the thoughts and the sensations. Now, which is more you? The awareness of the thoughts and sensations, or the thoughts and the sensations? Which side of the lens of perception are you on? Now really look. You really need to look, because these feelings can be very overpowering, overwhelming, right? And really suck us up and get us wrapped around the axle. And all this, because it is more thoughts about what a problem it is. And I must be doing something wrong, and I'm feeling lost. I have no idea who I am. Right? Now, of course, that's the mind trying to come up with an idea as to who you are. But aren't you the one that is aware of the thoughts and sensations? Isn't that who you are? Whatever that is, let's not put a name on it. I call it Jerry's, right? Or Jerry's, however you say it. Don't give it a name. Don't give it a location. Don't give it anything, right? We don't have to define it in any way. Except that it is you, isn't it? Whatever it is that's aware of those thoughts and those feelings, it must be you. There's not somebody else in there who's aware of you being aware of that. It's you. You're that awareness. Okay? You don't know what that is, okay? And here's the deal. Nobody does. And nobody can. You cannot know the infinite. It cannot be conceived. So the struggle to find out who I am, and the reason a lot of people struggle with this as a spiritual practice is because we haven't had the right preparation. And so the mind is still looking for a version of me, a concept of me that it can hold on to. Oh, I am like this. I'm spiritual. I'm an enlightened being or something. It doesn't matter what it's looking. It's trying to find something concrete, some form. It wants to take a shape, right? And when you're getting to the point in your growth where you really can't do that, it can send some panic through the system. God, I'm lost. Where am I? Who am I? Well, you are that which is that is aware. Are you not aware? Do you not know that you're aware? Are you not here? Now put aside any need to know what that is in any conceptual way at all, to have any thought about it. And you're still here, aren't you? Setting aside the past, the future, everything you know about yourself, everything you've ever known about yourself, every memory, every trauma, every aspiration, every hope, put them all aside. And you're still here. Whatever that is, that's you. You're not lost at all. You're right here. The mind is lost because who is it? What is that? I don't know. I don't know who I am. I have no idea. I just know that I am. And the who it kind of unfolds. Well, you know, now I'm this guy sitting here struggling with technology, talking to you. A little bit later, I'll be the guy making himself something to eat for lunch and straightening up his house and finishing his laundry. And after that, I'm some guy out taking a ride or going seeing his granddaughter, right? Or writing something because I've got commitments I have to keep to the various groups that I run. Right? But that's what I am, and that's how I appear in the moment. But who am I? I have no clue. One of the greatest Zen masters of all time, Bodhidharma, who brought Zen Buddhism to China from India, had a meeting. It's legendary. Don't even know if he actually even existed. He's also credited with the founding of the Shaolin Monastery and the creation of Kung Fu. So he's a very legendary character, and we have no idea who he of whether he existed or not. Interestingly enough, he also was murdered and raised from the dead 3 days later. So have that going on too. Anyway, he had a conversation with the emperor that was very, very simple. He said, and the emperor asked him. The emperor talked about all the temples he had built, all the Buddhists he had helped, all the monks he was supporting. He was very proud. He says, "What merit do I have?" And Bodhidharma's response was, "No merit." Now he's shocked, right? Because he's been doing all this stuff for merit, because I'm going to get something out of this, right? And he says, "No merit. Well, then what is the meaning of these holy scriptures?" And Bodhidharma says, "Nothing holy, vast emptiness. Nothing holy." And the emperor's now, he's like beside himself. He goes, "Who are you?" To which Bodhidharma replies, "I have no idea." That was the extent of the conversation as it is recorded, and he left. I have no idea. Who are you? I have no idea. Your mind, your ego is of course looking for something it can hold on to that says this is who I am. Because it's inherently unstable. It needs a reference point. It needs something to go, yes, this is what I am. Okay, this is what I am. I'm like this. I'm this intelligent, or I'm creative, or I'm fun, or I'm loving, or I'm compassionate, or I'm spiritual. Right? None of those are true. Those are all, that's like smelling a flower and thinking you have the flower. It's looking for the pony in the dung. It's not there. Right? You are no one in particular, but you are. You just are. And notice that if you just imbibe that, suddenly all the thoughts, the sensations, even intense ones, are like, yeah, well, okay. That's what happens to be arising right now. Is it matter? Is it important? Does this change who I am? Oh, no, not at all. Is this helping, Jerry's? Let me know. Excellent opening. I so love this. Oh, you're welcome. Welcome, Mary. There's John. Hello, John. Good to see you. Welcome back from Thailand. Mary, oh my God, GP. Who would I be without trying to fix, heal, or change myself? It seems so hard to let go of such addiction to correcting what does not nearly need to be corrected. Yes, it is. It is. It is a habit that we're all in. It's on steroids these days, right? I mean, even when I'm advertising my own courses, I mean, I have to sell them like, we're going to fix something, right? I have to, because if I put out something, come on to my course, we're not going to do anything at all. We're not going to fix anything. And people go, what? Well, then why would I bother to show up? It's just like, wow. So it has to start there, but the solution is seeing through the false sense of who you are, which is never going to not need fixing. I mean, it's inherently broken. It is born in sin. It's a mess from the get-go, but it's not you. And that is the great realization. It isn't you. So who would you be? That's a great exercise. I've done that in several classes, just using tapping and just as a meditation. Who would I be if I wasn't fixing myself, if I wasn't self-helping, if there were no more books to read, no more teachers to listen to, no more classes to take? What would I do with all my time and money? If I was done, mission accomplished. I graduated. Nothing. I'm now completely whole. But your wholeness is a revelation. It's not an accomplishment. This is the meaning of grace and the true meaning of the Savior. Saved from the great delusion. Oh, I'm getting a lot of amens. Amen, 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 amen. Please do an undoing of dogma workshop. Another amen from the Lithuanian woods, Egle. Hello, Egle. Same Egle? I don't see the accent. Maybe another one. I don't think I recognize the name, but maybe it is. Anyway, if you're new, hello. Robbie, you know when people say they ran out of luck or see karma as a bank credit, like an accumulation of merit, something which is already out of our control? Should we let go of such conceptions? Yes. Oh, how convenient, my little story about Bodhidharma. Right? What merit am I going to get for doing all these wonderful things? What merit? He's a goddamn emperor. I mean, what more is he going to get? How much more credit can he get? What's he going to get in his next life? I guess the only thing better than an emperor would be like a rock star, like Mick Jagger or something, who could do whatever he damn well pleases with no responsibility whatsoever. I suppose maybe that's it. But what was Dharma's response? No merit. Period. 2 words. I mean, the guy's whole life was just devastated in front of him. Right? I mean, it's true, according to what history is known at that time, Buddhism was flourishing at that time. Bodhidharma didn't bring Buddhism. He brought the meditative, the Zen, the direct path version of Buddhism to China. But it was flourishing. He built tens of thousands of monasteries. He was supporting hundreds of thousands of monks. And he wanted to know what reward he was going to get. To which Bodhidharma responded, none. Then what's the meaning of the Holy Scripture? Vast emptiness, nothing holy. To let go of the false sense of self is to let go of karma. There is no karma for the self. Karma is the illusion of cause and effect as it grinds on and on and on. And the only thing that sustains it is the projection on it, the sense of a self. So yes, let go of such conscious. Well, don't just let go of those conceptions. Pierce through so you see they're not true. That even cause and effect and time are an illusion projected upon what is simply the constant unfolding of right now, the constant appearing of the reality that is right now, that has no past and no future, but is manifesting itself this second perfectly every single time. There's nothing before it, there's nothing after it. And so the idea that there's a continuity from something in the past is an illusion. It never happened. It's like when you're watching a movie, what's happening on the screen isn't really a result of what happened previously on the screen, is it? That's the story in our heads. But the only reason that image appears on the screen is because that's the one that happened to be in front of the projector in that second. Now they're arranged in such a way so it looks like they're making a story, right? But there's nothing stopping them, switching them all around, and all sorts of different images pop up there. We see that a lot. MTV was really good at making all these ridiculous edits, right? But that's all there is what is appearing in this second. The past, the future don't exist. They're an illusion projected on right now. You are all there is. So don't just try to let go of the conceptions. See through them. Understand. So once you understand, you don't have to let go. They're gone. Right? Once you know that 2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2 = 3 will never fool you again. Period. Okay, stream all struck. I disappeared. Where's the G-Man? GP, come back. No sound, no audio. Disappeared. Wherefore art thou? Can't hear you. I love your comments. You guys are funny. And the sound, are we reading lips? I'm loving all the emojis too. Well, there goes my question. I can't hear anything. I love that message, Mary Sykes. Read the comment. Gee, read the goddamn comments. Just don't keep talking, you idiot. For 23. Thank you, Spartacus. Oh, this is funny. I'm enjoying this. Anybody have GP's cell phone number? See, I need to have an on-air producer. When I do the show with Lisa, she can handle that. I need somebody other than me working the controls. My technology days are behind me. Poor GP. We love you even if we can't hear you. Thank you, Valerie. I got rid of the bot, Roseanne. Yeah, that I noticed. That happens. Nothingness speaks about nothing, pun intended. You guys are great. Silence is our origin. Oh, God. Maybe I need the silence. Is this part of the teaching? You guys are funny. Oh, neutrality. We're supposed to understand it. Yes, it's silence. Yes, I'm now the silent guru. And we're back. There we are. Okay. No. Sorry. I feel like what you said I needed. You disconnected when you said hello to me. GP, technology and me don't get along. Happens. Oh, there's Bob. Hello, Bob. Andrea Lufgren. You. I don't recognize the name. Maybe you're new. Hope so. Don't say that I need you. You're too old. You're not too old. You said to Roberto, hi to Roberto, and died. I'm back from the dead. Come back to Red Rose's first comment. Okay. All right. So, hello, Jessica DeBella. Also looks like a new name. Just couldn't see you. Let's see. It's just the whole stream went down. Yeah. So amazing that God encoded 5 words in our DNA. God eternal within the body. Discovered by Greg Braden. God is the DNA. There is no DNA. There is only God. I remark Maharshi Satsang, only silence. Sending love to all of you. I'm starting to think the evangelical are behind the evangelical. Yeah, I'm wondering, right? I'm wondering, Brent, you're a legend, Chi. Thank you. Okay. Robert Hill, our 3 and 6-year-old are driving us crazy. Hard to keep inner peace when my 3-year-old is kicking me in the balls. Well, yes. I guess this is your path. This is your dharma. A 3-year-old kicking you in the balls is your dharma. Isn't that something? Everything in life is the teacher. If we accept that as that, we are humbly always in the presence of the master, because the master is not a person. The master is your life experience. Your life is the koan. Just reaching down here, pulling a blanket over my feet. Your life is the koan. Your life is the path. And coming into complete harmony with life as it is. Right? Completely recognizing that, yes, your 3-year-old's going to kick you in the balls. I remember when my sons were little. I got a lot. I got a lot, yes. They even broke one of my toes. Comes with the territory. We're not supposed to escape unscathed. So instead of regarding it, you say, it's hard to keep my inner peace. Well, no, it's hard to keep the body in a stable position and the emotions in stability. And so the need is to find that place that is beyond the circumstances, that is always at peace. and is always at peace, even when the emotions or body isn't. Because this is a subtle thing, and it's a mistake people make in spirituality. Oh, the inner peace. They think it's an emotional state, that I'm just going to always be peaceful and chanting Om, and I'm just going to wear my man bun and tapping on a hang drum or something. It's always going to be, crystal bowls no, it's all of it. It's all of it. It's on a noisy subway in New York, right? With yet somebody else, yelling at a street corner. Where's the peace? When you find that which is aware of both emotional distress and emotional peace, and you find that it's utterly constant, that's the true peace. And it's not a peace as a state. It is the stillness of being itself. And were it not still, all experience would be corrupted. You wouldn't even be able to have the full range of experience because it would be colored. You wouldn't be able to experience anything. It needs the absolute empty background. Take a diamond and throw it in a pile of gravel and dirt, and people will walk right by it. They may not even notice that it's there, no matter how valuable it is. But now you pick it up and you clean it off. You set that same thing on a big black piece of velvet, and it's just like, oh, stunning. Same thing. What's the difference? The content, the context, the setting. The true peace is the silent background against which everything else happens. And then emotionally, we can call it peaceful, or we can call it stressful. We can call it, my body feels good. Oh, my balls. It can be any of those. All of that can appear, and none of it could appear were it not for this absolutely empty, still, changeless background. And that background is the eyes through which you're seeing everything else. So they're not driving you crazy. Your mind is saying it should be different. Inner peace, I don't have that inner peace. I can't when I'm getting my toe broken. I'll just leave it at that. Robert? Kids are great, aren't they? There's my lovely producer, Lisa in Ontario, Canada. Dee Dee, I think GP is one of the best people to guide others on their spiritual path. I rarely feel so intrigued with a teacher, but there's so much truth that comes out of him. Oh, thank you, Dee Dee. There's a little cross on your symbol there. I like that. Yeah. Thank you. All right, back. Lifestyle, Dee Dee, it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. There's Lisa. Can I use that? I'm Drifter. Good afternoon to you. Brett. Hello, Brett. When life circumstances seem to really suck and nothing seems to be going right, and I'm so tired, even after seeing through the illusion, what to do? Signed, Exasperated in Park City. Even after seeing through the illusion, all right, well, see through more. Being tired is an illusion. It is a feeling. Right? Now, here's what it is. It is pay attention to the thought, I, me, mine. Just pay attention to that thought. A feeling comes up, tired. The mind says, I'm tired. And now it goes from simply being a feeling moving through the system to a characteristic of mine, a personal possession, a problem, something I have to deal with, an exasperation, because why is this here? Well, the only reason it's here, the reason it's here is because sometimes tired is here. The reason it feels burdensome is because the mind has made it my tiredness. Without the thought I, me, or mind, is there any problem with anything? Now, really ponder that. Does any feeling that arises, be it pleasant or unpleasant, does it announce itself as I'm a problem? Does it even say I'm pleasant or unpleasant? Or is it just a vibration? It's just tiredness. Does it say, oh, I'm tired, it's a real problem? It doesn't even say I'm tired. It's just a feeling of tiredness. Then immediately the mind goes, I'm so tired. And when that happens, all the overhead that the mind has associated with being tired jumps into the scene. And before you know it, you're suffering. You are not suffering because of being tired. You are suffering because you have taken tiredness as a state that shouldn't exist. And it's a personal possession, and it's a problem you've got to do something about. It isn't. It is just a feeling running through the body that has no meaning. It has no associations. It has no existence outside of the vibration that it is in that moment. Even the word tired came later. It doesn't even use the word tired. It's just a feeling, a sensation. The practice is divorcing all of our mental associations with what is appearing, from divorcing all of those from what is simply appearing. At that point, you just let it appear. When this steps in, this is a problem it has to get rid of. And every time it appears, it's like, oh God, I'm suffering. Without that, it appeared. And guess what? It'll disappear. It's not here all the time. However long it hangs out, it's not for good, is it? It's going to go. And it'll be replaced by the feeling of, yes, I'm energetic. Come on, let's go. It's going to happen. So why don't we just let that happen? Let it be what it is without anything extra added to it. And now there's no suffering. There's no problem. There's no exasperation. Right? There's no illusion. This is the illusion. That's what you have to see. The illusion is that this feeling has meaning associated with it. The feeling is just the desert. The illusion is all the meaning. That's the mirage. That doesn't exist. The feeling's there, and the feeling can be there. Notice how your mind thinks the problem is that the feeling is there. It isn't. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. The air just blows. Okay? The breath just comes in and out. The clouds just go by. Not a problem. Unless the mind says they are. Jerry says, yes, right now, thanks. At least, thanks. Stick with it. You know, when I'm speaking to Brett right now, this is for everybody. Really, really take this in. This is the answer to most of your questions, by the way. There's what happens, and then there's all of the cascading thought patterns that have been associated with it that have remained unscrutinized. And it becomes so reflexive and so fast that we don't realize that they are not the same thing, that our thought about it and the thing the thoughts are about have actually nothing to do with each other. They are completely disrelated. The relationship has been completely established in mind, and that is the illusion. See through that, and there'll be no more exasperation. Correcting oneself has become a habit. Stop self-helping. Yes. Stop self-helping. Stop. Be free of the self that needs help. If the self needs help, it's always going to need help. If you're stuck with the self that needs help, it's always going to need. And really, when you think about it, the broken self trying to do self-help, what? Are you kidding? It's like, I want financial advice, so I go to somebody who's broke. What? Dee Dee, they say all these ideas about living life for lessons, karmic things, etc., are a distraction from your true self. While the main point is being the true self while experiencing this. Yes, there's nothing, our human experiences that we learn, we grow, we develop, we become more subtle, more nuanced, more wise, more compassionate. That's the fruit that appears, right? But the substance of it, right? That which gives rise to the fact that there can be growth in grace is the truth that has been there the whole time, that doesn't need fixing, that doesn't need improving. I mean, if the truth needed improving, it wouldn't be truth, would it? It'd be something else. If the truth had to be fixed, it wouldn't be truth. So if you needed to be corrected. Now, remember, on the level of the experience, there's a constant unfoldment. But there's not somebody who is improving. There's only the obvious unfoldment of that which is already perfect. So it is the perfection unfolding its own perfection. It's like, if you look at the career of an artist, there's a point at which time they hit mastery. And from that point on, it isn't more mastery. It's just different. Right? It's not like they're getting better, right? It's just different. They can't get better. It's already perfect. You're already perfect. You can't get better. The manifestation of it will constantly be expanding, because that's the nature of being. It is a constant expansion. And there's no limit to the expansion, and there's no boundaries to it. It forever expands. So at one time, consciousness was nothing but a dinosaur. Now it's a human being. Where's it going to be next? Who knows? Right? But you are that consciousness, and your human life is the manifestation of it. We need to identify with the consciousness and not the manifestation. That's it. That's all you have to do. Oh, I'm not what's appearing. I'm what it's appearing to. But everything that's appearing is a reflection of me. So this is what I'm like. It's not who I am, because it's bounded, and it has to be. It has to take form, or it's not concrete. It's like, I am this song. Music is saying, I'm this song. I'm this song. I'm Roll Out the Barrel. I'm also a Bach cantata. I'm also whoever, Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. I am all of that. And there's no limit to what's next. Nobody could have foreseen Stravinsky during the Romantic period, or Jimi Hendrix during Stravinsky's time. Yet here it goes, and it keeps going. So does that help, Dee Dee? So the thing is, it's not one or the other. True non-duality is, there's not two there. Right? The image in the mirror and the original are not two. They are one. One's the reflection, one is the essence. And the original cannot see itself except in the reflection in the mirror. But the reflection is not me. I cannot know myself. I cannot see myself. I know myself, and I see myself through the appearance of the entire universe. And because of my inexhaustible nature, The universe never stops unfolding. It is never the same any second. Nothing in it is the same. No blade of grass, no snowflake, no cell, no individual organism, no dog, no microbe, no cockroach, nothing. Everything is absolutely unique, one of a kind, which expresses the unique, utter oneness of the self. It is the self reflecting its selfness, its internal unity as individual forms, but it is not separate from the individual forms. Just bring the sense of I out of the individual form back into the awareness that is perceiving it, and you realize that the form and the awareness of the form are not two. It is the original, it is the reflection, and it is the mirror. How's that, Dee Dee? I'm Drifter. My favorite way to explain the right now is the Big Bang in process, still evolving in a flash, but perceived in distorted time. Yeah, the Big Bang, it wasn't a moment in time. It is still happening. You know, the firework goes off. We don't think, oh, the firework's done. The moment that, boom, right? The whole thing, and it expands, and then it slows down, and it cools, and it falls away. Right? The whole thing is it, right? So it's still going on, and you are, in fact, the origin of the Big Bang. The Big Bang is a metaphor for the manifestation of the self as the universe. It was depicted as Vishnu, or as Brahman, blinking in the story of Vishnu asleep on the infinite ocean of being. The blinking of Brahman was the creation of the universe. And even the Big Bang, I don't know who the guy is, the Nobel scientist, said, well, it's not really the beginning. It's just, it too is a constant cycle. And that at some point it's just going to congeal again. Not the idea that the gravity is going to pull it together, but it's like black holes or something. He had a whole theory about it that's quite sound. Right? That it's just kind of this endless cycle, which is just what sages have been saying forever. It never ends. Alessandra, today I get you 100%. Yay. I'm glad. Septus, hey to you. Andrea, I've been watching and just started chatting. Good. Wonderful. So glad. Well, hello, Andrea, for joining in the chat. Happy to hear you. Yeah. It will always be Lisa reaching out to you. Lisa is my partner in Om School, where all the teaching is going on, and I'm very grateful to how much burden she has taken off my shoulders. Alessandria, who or what am I without having a man in my life? Without having my children around, without a penny, without income and ill? Yes, when there's nothing to hold on to, can I find myself? Yes. Very good. Sometimes that is what is required of us. There's nothing wrong with our desires, human desires. My God, to be with our children, to have children, to have a loving partner, right? To have a safe and comfortable home, to have great sex, to have a good job where you're appreciated. This is all as natural as can be. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But we have to come to see that it is fluctuating. It's influenced by circumstances. That to expect that to be the way it's supposed to be will do nothing but cause us suffering. And sometimes the only way we can break the spell of that and recognize that as beautiful as it is impermanent and not the ultimate, and is not going to take you to the ultimate truth of you, is when we find ourselves without it. We find ourselves left struggling to get by, no partner, right? Maybe our children are even estranged from us. And then what do we do? When there's nothing to hold on to, well, You look at the one thing you don't have to hold on to. And there's only one thing that you don't have to hold on to. You can let go of everything else. And if we consciously choose to let go of everything else, it's the best thing to do. Life will either make us do it or we can decide to do it, but we will have to let go of everything. But what's left? What can't you let go of? Whatever you can't let go of, whatever's left, has to be you. And there's where the real journey starts. Peace is not an emotional state. T-shirt, please. Dee Dee, I seem to live with immense guilt and fear on the possibility of having hurt people, be it true or false. I also seem to absorb other people's fears and emotions when I'm blinded by my guilt, fear. It has been going on for so long, my body now is tired with the overload of emotional energy that has been draining me up. Wow. Yes. Boy, I have done entire programs on this. It's actually part of the latest one that I'm doing, which is coming up this week on Thursday, called From Scarcity Thinking to Abundance Thinking, which isn't really about thinking. It's actually the tip of the iceberg, but it's really about discovering the self-love that is the true remedy, the only real remedy for guilt and fear. And to know for certain, did I hurt somebody, did I not? And if you did, completely owning it, not with guilt and shame, but with a genuine remorse that says, wow, thank you, I need to learn this. And a redoubling of our commitment to be compassionate, to be true. But we have to learn, and that's what the whole point of, that's the real point of this whole course I'm going to be doing. We have to learn to validate ourselves with self-love so that we can actually know. Otherwise, we're going to feel like we're hurting them when we're not. And we're going to feel like we're not hurting them when we are. We're going to have everything confused. You won't know. You can't tell the difference because something inside of you has been so deeply crippled that it needs somebody else to tell it. And of course, we are blinded by that, right? We're confused. We don't really know. We can't trust. And it is without a doubt the hardest thing there is to do. The hardest thing there is to do, because what has been crippled in all of us is the capacity for self-validation. To know yourself as you actually are, to the degree that you can say no. Yes, say yes when you mean yes, and no when you mean no. To be conscious in advance when you could cause somebody hurt, and not, or recognize that you may have to, that you have no choice, that this is what needs to be, and bear that, which is a bigger thing. And you'll also find that you're absorbing other people's fears and emotions, because that capacity to discern what's me and what isn't has been disturbed. It's been distorted. It's been disrupted. And it's really the heart and soul of it. And that's the place where that original sin lands. That's what it fosters, because in that state, you are totally manipulatable. You're controllable. You will do what you're told, right? And that's why it's there. That's why they made it. That's why they created it. That's why it was the tool of empire, and still is. So I can't in this short period of time address it. There's too much to it, and it's the only thing we truly lack. Every other lack we experience in our life, whether it be for relationships or money or experiences or anything, those are all a symptom. They are all the manifestation of this one lack of our incapacity to love ourselves. And to do that, you have to know yourself. Well, you don't have to perfectly know yourself. You have to know the whole deal, right? But we have to come to terms with the fact that you alone can do it. We want somebody to tell us, I'm okay, you're lovable, you're good. But it doesn't matter. It won't sink in. You have to come to be able to do it. Now, how do you do that? Right? You can see it's a complete and total contradiction. I'm not lovable. How do I tell myself I am? This is the process that I'm trying to teach. And it is a process. So, does that help, Dee Dee? The truth of the matter is that you are lovable, that you are love itself, that you do have that capacity, that original innocence, but it has been veiled. It's been covered over by the original sin, by the false sense of self, right? By all the muck, right? All that muck that almost killed me when I was just not more than a boy. None of it's true. Dee Dee, when I hear things like this, it just grabs me. As the observer, there are no problems to solve. Yeah, correct. Yes. A problem, anything that's actually a problem, that is something that really needs to be done, becomes obvious. But the problems that are just creations of the mind are gone because they're totally fictitious. They're the mirage in the desert. So, yes. Yes, Mr. Drifter. Hey, G. Hey there. Susanna, thanks a lot for your answer, GP. Love you. I love you too. There's Awake Not Woke. It seems it's ego's job to hold on to body identification fiercely to maintain its manifestation. And I know I'm being thick-headed, but who or what is it that identifies with consciousness? The only thing that can identify with consciousness would have to be consciousness. Wouldn't it? Remember, the ego isn't a thing, it's a functioning. It is a bunch of thoughts and feelings. It isn't holding on to anything. It is simply a pattern that is basically stuck in like all forms are patterns, right? This cup is a pattern. It is a temporary gathering of a bunch of molecules. Let's get it closer so it's in focus. I can't, maybe it's to my face. Yeah, anyway. It's a temporary gathering of energy together into this shape. It's empty. There's nobody here. And it'll come, if it comes apart, the cup is gone, and you see that the cup was never a reality. This is what Buddha meant by emptiness. It is empty. It has no self. So the ego is empty. It is just a functioning. There's nobody there. You take all the piece parts of the ego away, there is no ego. So it's not fiercely identifying. So the identification is this very mysterious mix between the functioning, which has no I, and the consciousness, which is the I, and it gives rise to a sense of I. So the identification of taking the I back to consciousness is coming from consciousness. It couldn't come from anywhere else. The ego can't do it. Right? It cannot be anything other than it is, because it's just a program. And it cannot change the program. Something outside the program must change the program. Your computer cannot reprogram itself. Even in AI, it's only following a program. And it can't go outside of that. It is not self-aware. So only the consciousness can take I back out of that. And yes, it seems mysterious that identification would arise at all. But this is the mystery we all have to pierce. You can't just explain it away. So I can say, yes, it has happened. Within consciousness, a sense of I has emerged that identifies with the ego. Now that I itself is a functioning, but it's not the ego. It's something else. But it too is a function. It is the most subtle of all the functionings. It is the sense of I, which is secondary to the actual I, because obviously before there could even be a sense of I, a sense of my existence, I would have to exist. So the fact of the existence in all its pureness, prior to even the sense of existing, had to be there first. Out of that, everything arose. And arose the sense of I, which is God, the I am, the sense I am, I exist. That sense, which depends upon the truth of your existence, gives rise to the entire universe. That I doesn't just come out and it's I, it's everything. And within that, this sense of identification emerged as part of it. It's part of the experience. So you're not thick-headed at all. This is the cosmic mystery that we are waking up from, right? That consciousness is waking itself up from, that it put itself to sleep in. So what is that then identifies with consciousness? It could only be consciousness. That which is not conscious can't identify with consciousness. There's nothing there. This cup cannot identify with me. My hand does not see me. I see my hand. My eye doesn't see me. Keep going. The brain doesn't see me. It's something else. It's something else that is perceiving all of it. And in front of it is this very subtle sense of I am, which has temporarily identified with that which is nothing but the manifestation of I am. And what is happening now is the awakening is a sense that that I am wants to come back home. And then there's a sense that I am bringing that sense of I am back home. But even that is simply part of the play that's going on in front of the consciousness, which never identified with anything. And if I've gone too far, it's okay. Just whatever you didn't understand, just throw out. It's not important. Just understand that the ego is not something. It is a bunch of repetitive patterns. And because they are repetitive, they continue to say the same thing over and over again. Even when we realize it's a repetitive pattern, it takes a while for that repetitive pattern to lose its momentum. Remember, you're not that. You can't be. Since the ego is nothing but a pattern, and you're looking at the pattern, you're not the ego. And the ego is not a thing that is grabbing you. It is only a functioning that you mistakenly identified as yourself. So, Susanna, is a loving partner even a reality? All I find are men who temporarily get high on me and then reject me when their high wears off. A loving partner is a potentiality. Love is the reality. And once again, this is really important because, yes, this is going to happen. And, I keep thinking I'm going to do this event for men, but men don't tend to show up to these events. And yes, men who are actually still boys get high on the women they fall in love with. They project everything on the women that they fall in love with. It is the Madonna and the whore, right? They want this hot woman who's just, just smoking, and they want mom, right? The real man doesn't need mom anymore, right? He has been through the letting go of mom. And so he's ready to enter fully into a relationship with a woman, as a real human woman, not as an ideal. And that's what happens. They project onto to women their own ideal and don't see them. And the more beautiful a woman is, the more invisible she is, the more pure projection as it is. And so women have to be very savvy and wise. They have to look for the signs of it. But unfortunately, a lot of women have been so crippled that, the tiniest show of affection, and it's like, cue the violins, because there's such a deep need to be loved. We have to get to the heart of that so that you find that love that does not need just a momentary high, right? But lives consciously occupies a place that will draw the kind of man there that will be capable of dealing with a woman as a real woman. Unfortunately, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of them. And I myself have been guilty of that in the past. It just kind of comes with the territory, but you learn. You learn over time, and we all have to come to terms with that. So yes, it's possible, but in order to really be able to experience that, you have to go beyond it. We have to go beyond our need for approval, the approval and love of others, and find our own self-love. We have to. And I don't mean it as just a psychological condition. I mean it as a deep spiritual transformation to discover the kind of love that values itself so highly, it is no longer fooled. It is utterly wise. Septus. Did I say that right? Septus. Yo, GP. If I watch the grass and it looks green, then comes a snake and see it another color, what is the true color of the grass? Or is it just part of seeing? Well, that's a great question. The answer is it's always just a function of the seeing, isn't it? I mean, color doesn't belong to any object. It belongs to light. Color is an attribute of light, not of grass. Grass isn't green. Grass merely absorbs certain frequencies and reflects certain frequencies. The ones that it reflects, we associate it with the object, but it doesn't belong to the object. This is the nature of all consciousness. We think the characteristics of this cup belong to the cup. They don't. They belong to consciousness. Consciousness, and that's why the metaphor of light has been used so consistently for thousands of years as a metaphor for consciousness. Light. It is the light. It is that in which everything else can be seen. Even darkness is seen in the light of consciousness. It's not this kind of a light, right? Not the kind that's on my face. It's the kind that actually sees the light and the dark. So the true color of the grass is it's an attribute of light, and seeing it as such, we can see that what we are seeing are simply variations in color and shade. That's all the eye actually sees. And that is all there is to form. So I said, well, this is the form that it takes. Well, that's only to the eye. Close your eyes, that form goes away, and it's a completely different kind of experience. The world of hearing and feeling and sensing and smelling and tasting does not have that kind of concrete form, does it? Not solid. There's not delineation. And so it really is just a functioning of seeing itself. When we grasp that, that's the first form, the first of the 5 skandhas, which cover the senses, which cover all the 5 senses and mind. They're all part of the form. And the next is sensation and perception and objects of mind and consciousness. So it is just part of seeing. It's one of the aggregates, and we realize that it is simple. It is not the reality. It is only the kind of a fundamental of experience that then gets absorbed into higher and higher levels until you see that it is all consciousness. You are only perceiving consciousness. The grass itself, without the color of the grass, take away everything else, just have the light that is the grass. Does the grass even exist? Right? If light was self-modulating, right, and could make its own shades and colorings and the like, it could present to you grass, and there wouldn't be any grass there, would there? You would see it, everything about it. Now you got your other senses to get involved, but they're no more trustworthy. They too are only having a very subjective experience. The fact is, there's nothing out there at all. It is all consciousness experiencing itself. So it is all just the seeing, but let the seeing be absorbed. Step further back into the seer. Jeez. And I went frozen again, but I caught it that time. I caught it that time. And I think I caught it just in time, so I ended up answering Septu's question. God, I don't know what this is with the technology today. Well, you know, it could be little spikes. We had a power outage. My power was out for a good part of a day. Started in the middle of the night, and it could be because that's what's happening. My disk drives are crashing and starting back up again. So I think that's actually what's happening. I think we're getting little power surges because there are parts of this area that haven't had the power restored yet. I mean, I got mine back yesterday, but I have a feeling that might be what's going on here because this is different, right? This is just isn't locking up. Everything is just stopping and then rehooking. So, but I'm glad I'm back. I am back, aren't I? So everything is a projection of the mind. Yes. Everything is a projection of the mind. But we need to not just take that in as an idea, but to really contemplate it, to really look at it. So we go, whoa, right, it is. There is nothing outside of my conception of it, but I believe that I'm describing something that exists independently of my mind. That's the crux of it. And thank you for your insight, GP. You're welcome, Drifter. Dee Dee, thank you for your words. You're welcome, Dee Dee. Angel Sunshine. Hi, GP. Feel like sharing. Even behind the eye, there's nothing. There's nothing to talk about. That nothing. But sequentially, the eye also comes later. Before even the eye exists, nothing exists. No thing exists. There's nothing you can wrap your hands around. But before the I exist, aren't you there? Aren't you the one saying that before the I exists, nothing exists? That's not nothing. It's not a thing. It's not a person. It's not a form. It's not something that you can have concrete attributes that you can point at. Oh, that's what it is. But aren't you there? It's not nothing, is it? It's you. It's the real you. Because who could say nothing is there? If there really was nothing there, there'd be nobody saying anything. And in fact, nothing would exist ever anyway. There couldn't even be an illusion. There couldn't even be the feeling or sense of I if there was nothing there. There's no thing there. That's why Buddha used the term emptiness or no self. He didn't say nothing. He said no self, emptiness, shunyata. Are you following that? So yes, before even the sense of I, which is a subtle perception, you can't find anything, right? Except the one who's aware of it. Now, this is where the mind struggles because it wants the I to be something, right? And you are nothing. That is, you are shunyata. You are emptiness. You are not something. You are no thing. Right? But you are. You just are. Not as this or that, but pure existence. Pure being. You just are. I am before even there is I am. I am that I am. That one. Lisa asks, an ego is a temporarily stuck pattern? Just clarifying. Yep, that's all there is to it. It is simply a pattern of thoughts that has gotten that has gotten has congealed temporarily into that pattern, the pattern that formed because of experiences in childhood and all sorts of things, formed a set of thoughts, sensations, and feelings into a certain pattern, right? And then an I, a sense of I, a thought emerged and called it I. And that thought is also part of the pattern. But the ego doesn't exist. There's nothing there. Lisa, you better save that last answer for GP's next book, a brilliant description of who and what we are. Which answer is that? Oops. Yes, I was taking notes and timestamp. Thank you. Lisa, you're the best. Susanna, great answer, G. I'm trusting that by being with all of the feelings that are present, I'm getting more present to the truth of who I am. And perhaps in doing so, I'll be more aware of real love. The first thing that will emerge is your own sense of value and your own sense of love that doesn't need somebody else to confirm it for you. Then a relationship with another person will be a manifestation of your self-love, not an attempt to get it. And that's when it's real. So everything is a projection of the mind? Yes. There's Lisa. If you're a man watching and like to attend a live event with GP, please comment. We're so wanting to put this event on. We just knew we got the men in the seats. Yeah, true. My mind thinks I'm a man, so it sounds good to me. Yes, Lisa, my work schedule usually interferes with everything. Whoa, that was awesome. Light doesn't belong to the object. No. If light belonged to the object, if the rose was red, it would be red even in the dark. But notice as the light changes, so does the color. It's light that we're seeing, not an object. So how do you even know the object is out there? You don't. It's assumed. It's a belief. Angel, what I refer to so continue. I thought I answered it. Did I miss it? Nothing exists. What I refer to Angel, what I refer to, the I is the individuation, the first separation that happens from nothingness. I follow what you're saying, that I am that nothingness. Thank you. Yes, that's what you are. And this is the thing the mind can't grasp. Well, no, I got to be something. I got to be something, right? And that sense of being something is the egoic mind. And that sense of being something is so deep, that desire to be something is so deep. That is the energy that creates the lives, the lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That's it. It is the most fundamental thing, the desire to be. Let's see here. Shanae, so good to see you. Good to see my Irish songstress. That's tricky. You would have access to replay. It doesn't offer you experience. It's Sunday's work. It's Satsang time. Yes, Lisa. Brett, that was great. But I refer to I individuation. Love to see you. I'm addicted to tobacco. Okay. Step one, forgive yourself. We're all addicted to shit right now. Everybody. Right? We can be addicted to spiritual books, to YouTube videos, to Facebook, to buying stuff, to credit cards, to sex, to love, to relationships. Addiction is a very natural function of the human body that has gotten distorted because our culture has gotten so disconnected from nature. The needs that are now coming up as addictions were once naturally met by nature itself. Right? And so you have to see that every addiction isn't a problem. It is the solution to a problem. Right? It's the feeling that something is missing. Right? And not knowing what it is, we go for temporary relief. And everybody does it. right? Everybody does it. Workaholics, exercise-aholics, right? You know, the people are taught every sense of identity. I'm a really spiritual person. I'm into yoga, right? They're all addictions. They're all an attempt to fill up this hole. So forgive yourself. Fine, you're innocent, right? That hole didn't get created by you, right? And nobody told you how to fill it up. So it's not in and of itself a problem, right? We don't want to ask why the addiction. We want to ask why that sense that something's missing. How do I come to the genuine self-love that doesn't need to be filled up by something external? Just ask that question. And even while, you know, if you know how to do EFT, tap even while you're smoking the cigarette. I know of instances where people had severe OCD, some really extreme stuff. Didn't do anything, no special processing, but just tapped even on the side of their fingers while they were going. One case was a woman who took her 2 hours to leave the house. 2 hours. She wanted to go anywhere. Her OCD was so severe. So the guy was a very well-known, wonderful fellow who did EFT. He did no process. He says, every time you go to leave the house for that 2 hours while you're doing it, just do this. And she did. And it was like a couple of weeks later, it was an hour. A couple of weeks later, it was like half an hour. And then she said, you know, it takes me, how long does it normally take people to leave the house? He says, well, about 15 minutes, which is exactly what it was now taking her. She didn't do anything, right? She didn't try to do any fancy processing. But in that was just, notice there were two things there. There was this, which is telling the body you're safe. But it was also the completely forgiving attitude of I can't remember what his name, David Lake. He's retired now. David Lake. He's an Australian guy. Completely forgiving. No judgment, no criticism, no guilt. I'm split. Part of me wants to leave tobacco. Yes, you want to be free. More stronger parts continue doing it. I'm not single-minded yet, so I feel guilty. Yeah. You don't think the mind's going to become single-minded. It won't. You can, but it can't. Right? And yes, it is very strong. It is very strong. And that's okay. And yes, you're going to be split. You don't want to do that. We want to be free. That's what it's really about. We want to be free. We want to feel valued. We want to feel loved. That's what it's about. If I feel loved and valued, the rest just falls away because this is a compensation for it. So you just try that in complete forgiveness. You know, even do my video on fuck it, right? Yeah, I smoke. Fuck it. Who cares? I mean, complete and total forgiveness. Right? So, all right. Thank you all for being with me today. Thank you for sharing the time. I'm sorry about the time that got lost. I'll go through and cut it out. So I will be, I'm going to be making some changes coming the new year. Because this is getting to be a lot for me. And there's a lot of other things that we need to get done. So I'm not going to be doing satsang as often as I do. I've been doing this now every week solidly, I think for 8 years. And it's time for me to do some other stuff, maybe some retreats, some other classes, and the like. And I'll start taking a little bit of better care of me. So starting in the new year, it'll be the first, and it'll probably be every other week that I'll be doing it, the forum like this. I will have other things going on. I'm going to be more active in my private safe space Facebook group, which I haven't really been as active for those people as I could be. I'm going to be doing more classes and the like. So so that is going to be happening. So that's what's on the horizon. So, and it's actually starting this week, because next week I will be visiting my son and staying there. The following week, it is going to be in, it's going to be Christmas Day, so I won't be doing satsang on that day. So there'll be, the next one will be on the 18th. The next one after that will be January 1st, and the one after that will be January 15th. And in between, there's a lot of new things that I'm going to be doing. So thank you all. Again, my most loving thank you to my Patreon supporters, everything from $1 up to some larger amounts of money. And also those who have made the one-time donations in Buy Me a Coffee. In my case, buy me an oat milk latte. So I'm still available for questions. I will still be soliciting questions. I will still be making videos with the questions, even though I won't be doing as much live. I still want to hear everything everybody say. My mission in life is to eliminate suffering for all beings. That is why I'm here. Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you so much. I love you all terribly, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.